Per 9000's game room.
Okay, so the game I'm talking about today is Axelay, known as Axelay in Japan if I'm saying that right. It's a highly regarded side-scrolling shooter published by Konami for the Super Nintendo Entertainment System. The game was released on September the 11th, 1992 in Japan. Later in that month it came out in North America, and then it made its way to Europe the following year. Now, as most people will know, the SNES's main rival, the Mega Drive, also known as the Sega Genesis, always had a very good reputation for scrolling shooters, with titles such as Thunder Force 3, Thunder Force 4, Aero Busters, Darius 2, and Axelay was really considered as the Super Nintendo's chance to prove that they could go toe-to-toe with the Mega Drive in one of its strongest areas. So, as I've already made apparent, Axelay is a sci-fi scrolling shooter, but it's so much more than that. The game features both top-down and side-scrolling shooting stages. But it does even more than that. The developers really went to town trying to find ways to use the console's Mode 7 techniques to dazzle people, with rolling backgrounds which make the game seem far quicker than it actually is. The game seems to drip with effort though. So much thought seems to have gone into everything from the backgrounds and the standard enemies to the amazing bosses this game has. Nothing seems to have been wasted, and every idea feels like it was pushed as far as they could push it at the time. Unlike some of the other shooters on the system, such as Acrobat Mission, which can be fun but feels a little bit repetitive, Axelay never seems to fall back on rehashing enemies and encounters again and again to stretch itself out. You always feel like you're being met with novel threats, dealing with new foes, facing unexpected environmental hazards. Yes, the game might not be massively long, but every second of it is enjoyable and it's extremely replayable. The controls are tight and responsive, your ship does just exactly what you tell it to, and when you die you always feel like it's your own fault, which is exactly how a game should feel. So the game plays well, it looks good. What about the music? Well, I wouldn't go putting the game's soundtrack on my phone and listening to it on the bus, but in the context of the game it's awesome and it really sets the tone for the gameplay. I think the game was overlooked. If you complete the game twice in a row, you will receive a message informing you of a sequel, but to this day there has been no follow-up to this game, and it's a crying shame. If so much was gotten right with this first game the first time around, to the point that it appears in some of the top 20 SNES game lists, just imagine what we would have seen in the sequel if it was built from the foundations of this one. A lot of the time Mega Drive shooters were seen as being better than the ones on the SNES because the Mega Drive had a faster processing unit, and this usually meant that SNES games had a little bit of slowdown or weren't quite so rapid, but Axelay, with all its tricks and twists, kind of managed to get around this. Do I think it's better than a lot of the shooters on the Mega Drive? No, it's debatable. It's better than some of them, but ultimately I do think the Mega Drive has the best shooters overall. Still, I'd give this game a very solid 8 out of 10. And this is coming from someone who has a bit of a hit and miss relationship with scrolling shooters. It has been on the Virtual Console before, so people might have played it without necessarily playing on a SNES. But for those who would like a physical copy, you'll find yourself paying somewhere between £18 and £25 for just a car if you're English. Maybe this is because of its positive reputation, or because it didn't sell as well back in the day as it probably deserved. But I think it's probably worth the price. If I didn't own it though, I think I probably would go down the emulation route. If you want to drop cash on a Super Nintendo scrolling shooter though, this is probably one of the ones I'd do it for. Okay, this is Kerr9000 signing off saying keep on gaming.